Hi, and welcome to Nevaeh's Nightmare. And on this episode, we are going to be talking about Aqua Tofana. So ignore my shirt. I'm recording both videos in the same day. It's fine. Giulia Tofana is one of the most prolific serial killers that you don't even know. In the 17th century in Italy during the Renaissance, it was a horrible time for women. Arranged marriages were still a thing, and women were often abused by their husbands, and divorce was not an option. During this time, women weren't allowed to work, and their only choice was to marry or become a prostitute. And childbirth was extremely dangerous, and lots of women died. Now back to Giulia Tofana. Not much is known about her, and there are no portraits of her, but most believe she is potentially the daughter of a woman named, and excuse me if I butcher this, Tofana d'Amelio, who was executed in July of 1633 for the murder of her husband. After her mother's death, Julia spent lots of time in apothecaries. This aroused her interest in herbs, medicine, and chemicals. She dabbled in this while spending time at the apothecaries, and she was good at it and soon learned how to make a poison. Some say she learned how to make the poison from her mother, and others claim that she learned it while working at the apothecary. Three deadly ingredients in the poison aqua tofana was belladonna, lead, and arsenic. All of these products were common in makeup products during the Renaissance, but belladonna was used for a single drop into the eyes to make a woman's eyes appear more dilated and beautiful, but belladonna is extremely toxic. Julia made the poison odorless, tasteless, and clear. One drop would be added to the husband's food or drink, and every day aqua tofana was added, the victim would get more and more sick. The effects weren't harsh for the first few drops, as it then would start to appear like cold like symptoms, then the flu, then intense burning in the stomach, and then would lead to the man's death. Julia also made aqua tofana into a powder disguised for the poison. Women could simply place the product beside the rest of their cosmetics and no one would know. She also made aqua tofana in small vials that claimed to be the manna of Saint Nicholas of Bari, which was a healing ointment similar to rose water that would be used as a devotion tool of sorts. With this poison in Julia's possession, she and her daughter began to sell it to women who were stuck in abusive marriages. Julia made sure to only sell to women she knew needed help and were trustworthy. She even went as far as to do background checks and only help people who have been referred. Julia would coach the women on how to act when making their next moves. Once the husbands were falling ill, Julia instructed the wives to call a doctor. When the doctors came to check out the men, they would simply say it's a cold, and as the men's health got worse and the doctors continued to return, the wives were instructed to act more and more anxiety ridden and depressed. This was so no suspicion arose. When the husbands died, the wives were told to demand a post mortem examination. At the time, the substances in aqua tofana were undetectable in the body, and this proves further that the widow was innocent. Julia became popular amongst the troubled women, but was considered a friend by most of her clients. Eventually, Julia opened her own cosmetics counter where she sold genuine cosmetics, but the occasional client asking for aqua tofana would come in. Everyone would act like they didn't know what they were talking about because Julia was very picky about her clients. She was also very successful and sold aqua tofana for almost 50 years. Sometime in the 1650s, while living in Rome, a new client bought Aqua Tofana from Julia. She did the normal background check and trusted the new client. When the woman went home, she made dinner for her and her husband soup. The wife put 2 drops of Aqua Tofana in the soup and called her husband to dinner. After a few spoonfuls of the soup, the wife started screaming at her husband to stop eating. The husband asked her why he couldn't eat it, and then he slammed her on the ground and demanded she tell him what she put in the soup. As he was holding her down, he started beating her, and she confessed to putting poison in the soup. Her husband dragged her to the authorities and told them what she did. The woman was tortured until she told the authorities about Aqua Tofana. Julia was warned about the authorities finding out, and she ran. She found a place to stay at a church while looking for sanctuary. Rumors soon got out about Julia, and it was spread that she poisoned a massive water supply that ran through Rome. With this rumor spreading, people got angry and a mob formed. They found the church where Julia was staying, and they threatened to burn down the church unless she was handed over. In custody with the Rome authorities, she was tortured and confessed to an estimated 600 murders between 1633 and 1651. However, some believe it's even higher than that. Authorities also got her to name some of her clients, not all of them, but some. In July of 1695, Julia was executed along with her daughter and three employees. They were killed in Rome's Campo di Fiore, also known as the Field of Flowers. Clients pretended they had no clue Aqua Tofana was poison and they used it as a cosmetic, but the police did execute the clients that they knew had bought the poison, and others were bricked into the dungeons of the Palace of the Holy Office. It's said that there are others who were connected but simply got away. For some reason, long after Julia's death in 1791, the famous composer Mozart fell seriously ill and had become convinced that he had become poisoned days before his death. He quoted, "I will not last much longer. I am sure that I have been poisoned. I cannot rid myself of this idea that someone has given me aqua tofana." Historians believed he died from a fever due to syphilis or eating undercooked pork, but it's a bit of a stretch. Still strange, though. Not much is known about Giulia Tofana or Aqua Tofana or her mother or her daughters or the people that worked for her or her clients. But Aqua Tofana was a genuine poison, even though not much is known about Julia. Anyways, let me know what you think down in the comments below, and do you think that Aqua Tofana could just be hidden as a cosmetic?